Hello everyone. So I welcome each and every one of you in the very first video of this series where we will learn to create some of the projects in AI, that is using AI, which has some real life applications. Now if you go and search on online you can find plenty of projects in AI. However, what I feel is there is limited opportunities or the projects which is available in the field of supply chain. Now if you have ever worked in supply chain, preferably in e-commerce or quick commerce or D-Mart, V-Mart, grocery industry, or your friends or the relatives have some sort of kirana stores or have been running B2B, B2C business or restaurant business, you will understand that inventory management is one of the major core problems that they have to face in day to day scenario. If the inventory is not managed properly, there is a huge friction and there is a huge loss in terms of resources. So in this series we will focus one of the projects where we will use AI for the inventory management and will showcase how it could impact our day-to-day planning and can help us in optimum utilization of resources. So before jumping out what it could be like, just go through the video of this 1 minute where you can see that at the end of this project what we intend to create and how this AI could help us to streamline our planning process. Okay, now before starting the video, what I want to show you is that by the end of this video we will end up creating a interface where as a user we will share the input in the telegram bot, and based on the AI and the logic that we will define it will gives an output. For example, if I want to know what is inventory for SKU2, so we can see the output is 475. Let's try one more question. What is stock out days for SKU2? So stock out days are basically it's basically inventory divided by daily order quantity. And see the output which is 15. So this is what we will end up creating at the end of this series. So just be with me and let's watch the next tutorial. So coming back from video, I think you enjoyed the video, as by the end of this project you have a little clarity in the sense what we will end up creating it and how it could streamline your day-to-day inventory management plan. Now before jumping into the AI, one thing that you need to understand that how the AI is going to work. So I'm not going to define Python codes right in the very first videos, even though if you don't have a day-to-day knowledge about the Python, and even if you are a beginner is all fine, because understanding the logic is more important. When you understand the logic you can write codes, and with the upcoming of lot of LLMs, whether ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok, whatever you want to use it, if there is some syntax error, if you actually want to understand, you can reach out to them, and more or less they are better at giving the regions. The important thing for you to understand is how the flow of information is going to be and how you can use this flowchart to write your codes. So on this screen you can see the first thing is to input data. Okay, so now for the data part we will refer to in this series Excel file, you can refer to CSV file, or you can even connect the database directly into this model. However, for the sake of simplicity in this series, we will connect the data with the Excel sheet only. Now once you have a data in the Excel, so I'll show you how the data we have here. Okay, so this is one part. I'll just, so this is my data Excel file. Okay, so I've created a raw data where we have SKU, the inventory, daily order quantity, expiry date, unit price, and order time, and this is what we will refer in our subsequent scenarios. Okay, so coming back to this model, now if you see, okay, here we have the data which I've showed you recently in an Excel file. Okay, now this Excel file data has to be converted into a database. Now what is database? It's basically a very big Excel file. Okay, and there are multiple tabs into it. So what we will do is we will create a database. Okay, and we'll upload the data that we have in this Excel file here into one of the reports. It could be, say there are three Excel files, and it could be report 1, report 2, report 3, which is similar to having different tabs within an Excel sheet. Okay, because see data, the data that we will create would be an excel format, and the python is not able to communicate in the excel format. First it will convert the data into a database, okay, which calls it as a df or data frame, and then only it can communicate with your data. So this first step is to convert the excel file into a database. Within the database there could be multiple data frame, that is report 1 is one data frame, report 2 is one data frame. So in this lecture we will also do the same thing. Okay, now once we have converted the excel file into a database, okay, we will call an operator. Then operator is what, an sql. See, so for example, if the data which I showed you, okay, if I say what is the characteristics of sq5, then you can say okay, the inventory is 340, the daily order quantity is 29, the unit price is 26, the reorder time is 3. Okay, now since the data is small, you can directly see with your naked eyes and can give the output. However, assume the data is very big enough, it doesn't make sense for you to download all the data. Okay, so in that scenario what you will do is you will call this operator, call as sqlite, okay, sql, okay, and will ask, you will call this operator sqlite, okay, and will ask them to give what is the characteristic of sq5 instead of downloading the entire data. So that work will be done by sqlite. Okay, so this is one part of the data flow. The other thing is the user input. So as a user, for example, you are giving some sort of input, that input will go through the prompt engineering. Now what is prompt engineering or the prompt part? It is basically a guide to for ai. For example, inventory management is a real life scenario in paint industry, inventory management is a real life scenario in oil and gas industry, inventory management is a real life scenario in e-commerce or the quick commerce. Obviously everyone is doing inventory management, but the process or the logic could be different for from industry to industry perspective. So prompt engineering is basically a guide to AI. It will actually tell the AI, the model that will use either Ollama or ChatGPT or Gemini, that how it should react to an user input. At the end of the day, it is the AI or the model which is going to work it out. But your prompt engineering is like a guidebook. It will teach AI that what is the data, what is the meaning of headers of the data, how to use this data. However, the final output will be given by AI itself. A prompt engineering is not a code, it's simply a prompt which is given in English. The better you are writing at prompt, the better will be the output from the AI. Okay, so one would be the user input, then it will go to prompt engineering. The prompt engineering will feed the user input plus the descriptions or the prompt that you have predefined to the AI. Now, what AI will do, it will generate a query or it will generate the requirements that what data has to be fetched up from this database. So, this AI will first generate a query. This query will be given to this SQLite, which is an operator. The operator will extract the data from this database, okay, and then will give the final output. This is a very simplistic sort of AI model. The very first thing is the flow of data that you can see, that is from Excel file to the database. From database, we will feed it to the SQLite. Okay. Now the user will give an input. The input will be fed up to the prompt engineering, which will further move through the AI. The AI will give the instructions to the SQLite that which data has to be extracted, and the output would be given. Now if we really want to complicate it, okay, and move towards a more real life projects, this is what the flow would be. Now this is a second part, okay, and we will create projects for both the parts. Okay, now this step one we have already discussed. It's the same thing that the excel file would be there, it will go to database and it will get loaded in the sqlite. Okay, now the user gives an input. One of the flow that we looked into it, that user input will go to prompt engineering, the prompt engineering will go to AI, the AI will give the instructions to SQLite, and then output would be given. This is one way to look into it. Also, say for example, the database that we saw just now, as a user, say for example, you are looking that what would be my loss due to expiry date for say certain SKU5. Okay, one way is to define everything in prompt engineering. One way is to create a keyword. For example, if the user is giving a keyword that what would be the loss due to expiry, then write some Python programming that how it will handle, and then given final output. There could be even different flow where apart from having a keyword check, it will go to query handler is basically different Python programs or the logics that we have written here. From there it will go to AI will send to SQLite, and then you will output. So there could be n number of iterations here. What I have tried to show you in the very first part is a simplistic sort of logic, this one. Okay, how the data flow is going to be, and a one step ahead that if we want to have a really complex project, how it could look like. Even we can go more into complexity, but I think by the end of this video we will end up creating a project which has a implications from the first part, this one. Okay, this entire logic, and from this one too. So be there, don't lose the hope. By the end of this project we will able to create a inventory management plan using an AI which has a real life applications. If you like the video, like it, share with your colleagues, share with your friends, and do comments. So just hope you to see in the next video. All the best.